Please sit. Please sit, everybody. What a gorgeous afternoon. First, let me begin with a thank you to the visiting director of choirs, Miles Canaday, and the William and Mary Choir for their splendid musical accompaniment. Thank you, guys. As provost of the college, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to today's opening convocation. With this convocation, we celebrate the start of the new academic year, and we celebrate especially the women and men who are beginning their William and Mary careers. We also mark an important milestone this year, the 50th anniversary of African American students in residence at William and Mary. In the autumn of 1967, Lynn Briley, Janet Brown, and Karen Eli started their William and Mary careers and expanded the opportunities for all who would follow them. I am delighted that all three of these pioneering alumni are with us today. Janet, Karen, and Lynn, would you please stand for a moment of recognition? Delighted that you're here. During the course of the year, we commemorate and celebrate these 50 years, building on their legacy as we continue our course, in the words of our founders, towards a more perfect union. At this time, I would also like to recognize Jackie McClendon, Professor Emerita of English, who has been the energizing force in leading and planning this year's celebrations and commemoration. Jackie, where are you? Please stand up. As you arrived at today's event, you should have each received a green wristband, which I'm wearing here on my right, with the hashtag WM50Legacy. I hope that you will wear this during the year as a reminder of this important anniversary and of the events that will occur throughout the year marking it. You who come to William & Mary today are now part of a glorious tradition of learning, one that reaches back to Plato, who founded the original academy in ancient Athens, extends to the great medieval universities of Europe, and moves forward to this country, where, in 1693, the College of William and Mary was chartered. William and Mary is a most extraordinary university. First and foremost, we prize both teaching and scholarship, and especially the blending of the two. We offer an education that is broad and deep, that is based on inquiry, curiosity, and discovery, that is characterized by rigor, respect for argument and difference, and nourished by a deep love of learning. It is a powerful education that comes from the spark of intense interaction with ideas and with others, and a shared conviction that knowledge is not bounded and that possibilities are without limit. That is what we value at William & Mary. This is what we offer you as members of this venerable tribe. In short, if you wanted the best education on the planet, you have come to the right place. William & Mary occupies a unique and treasured space in American education and in American history. We are all justly proud of our traditions and our history, but we also look to the future and to you, who will strengthen and enrich this tradition as students here and as you take your place in the world. Make sure that you enjoy your time here. It will be filled with exploration, discovery, and learning, both in and outside the classroom, with your professors and with your classmates. What you learn here, the friends you make here, the person you become here will last a lifetime. As we wrote in accepting you into the college, one tribe, and now it's yours. Welcome to the William & Mary family. It is now my distinct pleasure to turn the podium over to the university's 27th president, Taylor Reevely. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Provost. I am a great believer in sitting during programs that have a bit of length to them. If you come around this side, there are plenty of chairs right there that you can unobtrusively get into. if you're still standing and would like to sit. So by all means, do it. And I don't mind if you come up while I'm talking. Well, as the provost just noted, this is a gorgeous afternoon. The weather gods have once again smiled upon us. But as we are all acutely aware, that's not happening in Texas and the larger Gulf Coast. They're in the grip of a monstrous, relentless storm, and one of America's greatest cities, Houston, is literally under siege. Many members of the William and Mary family have relatives and friends who are suffering in Texas right now. Some of the William and Mary family live in Houston. So those of us on dry land in Williamsburg hold Texas, especially Houston, in our hearts. And I think there will be ways in which we can help in the days and months to come. And already there is love and support flowing in countless measures from members of the Houston community reaching out to help other members of the Houston community who are in distress. Massive support will flow from the rest of the country in due course. And I really believe what's happening in Houston these days in terms of people reaching out to people to help is far more indicative of the caring spirit and the devotion to the civic good that characterize the United States of America. Far more indicative than the terrible events in Charlottesville a couple of weeks ago. Well, now, I do declare that William and Mary's 2017-2018 academic year has begun. We are in gear, and we will not slow down, really, until the holiday break, quite a while from now. This is the beginning of the 325th year in William and Mary's long life. Well, welcome new students. On move-in day, I had a chance to tell freshmen and undergraduate transfers just how much we value each of you, and we do value you enormously. Now, professional and graduate students, let me say that you too have been very carefully chosen to attend William and Mary and join us, and you too are very, very dear to us, collectively and individually. New students, you are all cherished members of the William and Mary community, both during your time on campus and thereafter for the rest of your lives. William and Mary will be an important and proud part of your identity from now on. Now, somewhere in the exotic program for today's commencement, and it is quite a piece of work, and I mean that sincerely, there is a list of some of the ways in which William and Mary has led the way for American higher education. We have led the way for American higher education in an amazing number of ways. But do find that page. I'd tell you what its page number was, but I couldn't find any page numbers. Do take a look. That's a right nifty list. Laney Boyd, the senior class president, has some words for us. Laney, come talk.
Welcome, international students, graduate students, transfers, and freshmen. Hello, I'm Laney Boyd, and I'm this year's senior class president. Each year, the sophomore, junior, and senior classes help welcome first-year students by presenting them with a class banner. For those of you who are transfers or graduate students, your banners for the classes of 2018, 2019, and 2020 are already hanging in the center court dining area at the Sadler Center. Together with Jonah Yesowitz, president of the junior class, and Kelsey Vita, president of the sophomore class for Above Me on the Balcony, I am proud to present the class of 2021 with its class banner. We hope it will be a symbol of unity for your class during the years that you are here together, and in the years to follow, like all the classes before you, as you become alumni of the College of William & Mary. The banner will remain here for a week, after which it will be moved to the center court dining area at the Sattler Center, where it will hang until commencement of 2021. Since there is not yet an elected representative for the class of 2021, President Reevely, we ask that you accept this banner on their behalf.
Lainey, thank you very much. I am privileged and honored to accept this banner on behalf of all of William & Mary, and I congratulate you and your colleagues on successfully unfurling it. This does not always happen. Good job. Before introducing our speaker, Judge John Charles Thomas, I'm delighted to call to the podium the Virginia State Senator from our part of the world, William & Mary's representative in the General Assembly, who is also a devoted William & Mary alumnus, Senator Monty Mason. Senator Mason is going to bring to us a marvelous resolution from all of the General Assembly, House and Senate. Monty, come tell us what lurks within this resolution.
Yes, sir. Thank you, President Reevely. I, too, would like to extend my welcome to the class of 2021 and would like to be among the first to say, "Go Tribe." I'm sorry that I don't get a siren accompaniment like Lainey, but well done to the presidents. About a decade ago, the Student Assembly began a movement studying the full history of African Americans at William & Mary. And in 2009, the Board of Visitors established the Lemon Project. Last year, stemming from that initiative, the college dedicated 2 buildings, one for the namesake of the effort, Lemon, and the other for Dean Carol Hardy, who impacted countless lives in her 15 years at the college. Michael mentioned the extensive celebration and academic discussions that will take place throughout the course of this year. Starting tomorrow at Swim Library, a reception featuring Colonial Williamsburg interpreter Valerie Gray Holmes will unveil a mural painted in July to celebrate this anniversary. Also, this weekend at the Muscarelli Museum, who recently hosted world-renowned exhibits of Michelangelo and Botticelli. They are set to carry on building a legacy, African-American art from the permanent collection of William & Mary, more than 35 paintings, drawing, prints, and sculptures by 23 artists. The Muscarelli has made considerable progress towards the formation of a representative collection of the best-known African-American artists since its foundation in 1983. Just a couple of things to kick off an exciting year. As President Reevely mentioned, it was my privilege to sponsor a resolution of the Virginia State Senate recognizing this anniversary, and I'd like to read a select few lines from it for you now. This was Senate Resolution 397. Whereas in the fall of 1967, 3 female African-American students, Lynn Briley, Janet Brown, and Karen Eli, were admitted to the freshman class and, having been assigned housing together in Jefferson Hall, were able to take full advantage of campus facilities and offerings. And whereas these students were the first African-American students in residence and the first African-American women to graduate the College of William & Mary, paving the way for thousands of other black students since 1967. And whereas the College of William & Mary has since made a commitment to diversity and inclusiveness, explored the university's past, and planned a year marking the important contributions of its African-American students, faculty, staff, and alumni. And whereas the College of William & Mary wishes to honor these early, courageous African-American students who helped the university to move closer to achieving equality and inclusion. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate, with the House of Delegates concurring, that the General Assembly hereby commemorate the 50th anniversary of African American students in residence at the College of William and Mary. Thank you, sir. Thanks for being here.
Senator, thank you so very much. Absolutely wonderful resolution, beautifully framed. It will have an honored place in our precincts. But at the moment, I'm going to give it to Steve, lest it be trampled later on. Thank you, Steve. All right, we come now to our convocation speaker, the Honorable John Charles Thomas. Judge Thomas is an enormously distinguished human being whom I have known and cared about very deeply for over 40 years. He's been a poet since he was a child. He can recite poetry by memory amazingly. He also can write it superbly. He's got a steel trap mind, and as we are all about to enjoy, eloquence is his middle name. John Charles grew up in Norfolk, Virginia, a city that sits on the Atlantic Ocean, not far from here. He grew up in Norfolk at a time when the Commonwealth of Virginia, along with the rest of the American South, was still in the claws of segregation, the forced separation of blacks from whites. That meant that young John Charles, an African American, felt the full force of discrimination by whites against blacks. Things did begin to change for the better when he reached his teenage years. He was one of the first black children to integrate an all-white high school in Norfolk. Then he was one of the first African Americans to integrate the University of Virginia's undergraduate program. He graduated from UVA the year after Lynn, Janet, and Karen graduated from William and Mary. Judge Thomas later went on to become the first black lawyer hired by his and my old law firm, and he proceeded to move through the firm's ranks over the course of the prescribed gestation period to become its first black partner. He was the first African American young lawyer to accomplish this feat at a major law firm in the South. And then shortly after he was elected to partnership at the law firm, he was chosen to become a justice on the Virginia Supreme Court, where he was the youngest person ever to serve on that court and its first black justice. He very quickly established his intellectual leadership among the court's 7 justices. Justice Thomas is now back at his old law firm as one of its senior partners. He served on William and Mary's Board of Visitors, I think, in the modern era, for more years than any other mortal. And he now sits, when needed, as a judge on the Court of Arbitration for Sport in Switzerland. As this recitative makes clear, Judge Thomas has led the way for other African Americans, breaking down barriers and creating opportunities for those who come along behind him. This has not been easy. Often it's been grindingly hard. Too frequently, John Charles Thomas has had to swim amid, sometimes against, the currents of an all-white sea. But he has persevered with great courage and determination and with great effectiveness and great grace. He has been, and he is, quite amazing. All right, Judge Thomas, we are yours. Come and dazzle us.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my immense pleasure to be with you at this convocation, starting the 325th year of the academic life at the College of William and Mary in Virginia. It gives me great joy to be here to see these new, fresh, strong minds come to be part of this historic family of scholars. When you come to the College of William and Mary in Virginia, you basically leap into the flow of history. Right up the road is where the first permanent English settlement in the New World was established. Right up the road is where the first representative government, the House of Burgesses, was established in 1619, and right up the road is where the first boatload of black people in bondage were brought to America just weeks apart from where democracy was started. I have never been able to get it out of my mind that the American schizophrenia with regard to race and fairness was born right up the road in my state from this beautiful college, and it becomes part of the things that you think about when you are here. But then, at this very place, on that street that the students lovingly call Dog Street, the great architects of American democracy got together. Whether they went to school here or not, they went to the taverns on that street to talk about how to change the form of government of America, how to create a society where all people are created equal. But of course, in creating that society, they didn't start out living by all the things that they said. It was just 50 years ago that people of color were allowed to come here as students in this 300 and some year march of education, but it occurred. It occurred because of the perseverance and determination and strong shoulders and the grit of these people, these women right here that you can see and touch. And so I want to tell you that history is not just from a long time ago. History is happening right now. And so when the president of the university calls for convocation, he is doing something that has been done for many centuries in the world of education, where the leader of the institution invokes convocatio. And what he says at that moment is, I want the whole college. I want all the faculty, the students, the administrators, the staff to come to one place so that we can discuss and think about some important ideas. And the important ideas that I think that I want you to have in your mind on this your first day is about history and future. That history is happening right now, history is moving forward, and history can be made and changed by all of you right here. And part of what we do at the College of William and Mary is to try to prepare you to make those changes. We are a great liberal arts school, but you know, I dislike so much of what is lost in when people say liberal arts, because that doesn't describe what's really going on. Some of you who studied classics may know this already. The arts liberales are not arts in the sense of painting and ballet and poetry, and the liberales is not liberal in the sense of liberal and conservative. I wish that we had said what it really was and told all the students and parents what it really is, because if you knew that the arts liberales were the skills of freedom, who would not want to go to school to learn the skills of freedom? But that's what you come here for. Thousands of years ago, the Greeks figured it out. If you're going to have a representative democracy, then you have to have citizens who know the skills of freedom. And they were talking about logic, grammar, rhetoric. You have to be able to think well, to write well, and to speak well. Today, people call it critical thinking and some other fancy terms, but when you're at William and Mary, every class you go into, every discussion group when you sit on the floor in the dorm, every time that you are engaging with others, you are supposed to be about the business of learning the skills of freedom. Because if you don't learn and you don't understand the things that it takes in order to engage with a democratic society and help make it a more perfect union, then the government itself may fail. But the Greeks knew a little bit more than just those structural things. They knew that you had to know some substance too. And so the first three were called the trivium. And then they went to the quadrivium, and that was their view of the structure of the world. Some of you who know this will understand that they thought structurally that you needed to study math, and then you needed to study geometry, which they call math in space, and then you needed to study music, which they call math in time, and then you needed to study astronomy, which they call math in time and space. They were right on. There is structure to the world, but they could not fathom, they couldn't understand the elegant folding of the DNA molecule. They did not yet know, though they talked of atomism, they did not know of the deep physics in the quantum state. They did not know about the Higgs boson and up and down spin and quarks and all the elegant things that we have come to know. But they knew that you had to study government. You had to study society. You had to study mankind. You had to study history. You had to do all these things in order to be a prepared student, and that's what we want you to be when you come to the College of William and Mary in Virginia. But why? Why do we want you to do that? Dr. King said in one of his speeches that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. But what he did not say was that how the arc bends. The arc never bends on its own. The arc of the moral universe won't do anything unless somebody leans into the arc and pushes it. And we hope that if we pay attention to you and you engage with us here, that you will become those who lean into the arc and change it. The very Constitution of the United States begins by saying, in order to form a more perfect union. And so our founding document knows at the outset that when it was written, things weren't perfect, and surely they were not. But it takes time. It takes years, it takes effort, it takes a great push to have a group that looks like this, to have an assembly where somebody like me can stand here and be part of the society that we are born and raised in. And so we have great hopes on this first day of the academic year for what you will become. But it's not just for you. It's because what we are trying to do is ignite within you the burning desire to learn and to keep learning, to push for fairness and justice and equity, and then to share the light that is within you. Indeed, one of the gorgeous ceremonies that you will be part of in your days at the College of William and Mary is called candlelight, when you will stand near this very building and you will share the light from a candle among all your classmates, and you will light up this yard. But it's symbolic for what we want you to do in the world, because the candle that lights another candle burns no less brightly. Consider that now. If you have the one candle that's lit in a room of 1,000 and all the other candles are out, you with your one candle can light the whole room and you lose no brightness by sharing. It is an important concept that I hope stays within you. that we want you to be engaged your whole time here. The students who go to this school volunteer at one of the highest rates in the country. The students who go to school here study around the world at a rate higher than most other schools. The students who go here stay up late at night. At exam times, we have to open all possible spaces, because our students are on the floor in the library, and on the floor in the gym, and on the floor on the wrestling mats. They're on the floor anywhere they can be, where they can lay down a computer and a book and keep on studying. We have to keep the daily grind open to give y'all coffee almost 24 hours a day. They claim our students can be a little bit nerdish, but our students are just trying to understand, and now you are part of that effort to understand. And so, we want you to get it from the beginning, to understand what you're trying to do, to understand that you are here to be about the business of the skills of freedom, so that you can go out and move mountains, so you can change the world, so you can make things better. Now, they tell you that I'm a poet, and I've been that way since I was a baby, since I was 4 years old. And I actually wrote a poem about light, and a poem about sharing. And I'm going to give you that poem right now. My poem is Light the Soul. And I say to you from my poet's heart that light lay quietly at the beginning till it was called into action by God. Then it split the darkness, warmed the cold, brought motion to the stillness, touched our souls. And they say there is light at the end. As we brace ourselves for the final journey, the word is there is light even then. Light that binds you, then sets you free. From Alpha to Omega, the light shines through. From dawn to dusk, it orders what we do. By particle and wave, it prompts the birds to sing. By pulse and reflection, it points out the way. Light can lift depression, dispel despair, bring hope to the weary, lead us from fear. Light can raise up emotions, quiet the storm, beckon us from rolling seas into the calm. We learn by light, we grow by light, we sit in the dark, transfixed by its sight. And as the light flickers, our hearts respond. We can see the connections, we can feel the bonds. It has been given to some to handle the light, to mold it, to craft it, to bend it, to write. It has fallen to some to sculpt what we see, to sharpen, to brighten, to make it run free. To those who would hold light in their hands, there is much to remember, to understand. In the right light, love can shine. In the right light, we can leave wrong behind. By the light, there is good we can know. In the light, justice can grow. To all of you, all of the undergraduates, all of the business students, the law students, the educational students, the VIM students, everybody who's come here to learn, God bless you. Get some light and share it. That's all I know.
Magnificent, John Charles Thomas. Magnificent. I told you he was eloquent. Told you he was a poet. He just did that without notes, including reciting a long poem. I keep telling him, one day that may not work. And what are you going to do if you're standing up there, you got no notes, and the mind goes blank? He says, don't worry, it'll be okay. Well, embedded as Judge Thomas said. Deep in William and Mary's DNA is one of our most important traditions, a commitment to service, a commitment to making a difference for the better in the world. And those of us at William and Mary are the stewards of a marvelous tradition from people who have gone before us at the college, and that's the privilege of participating in this inheritance carries with it the responsibility to keep it going, to do some real good in our lives. And people at William and Mary do that on campus in the Williamsburg area, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, in the United States of America, really around the world. And Convocation is the time each year when we present two President's Award for service in our local community. One goes to a member of the faculty or staff, and the other to a member of the student body. And these two people receive $500 each to donate to service agencies especially important to them. Our staff recipient this year is Al Albert, a William and Mary alumnus who now serves as Associate Director of Athletic Development. But for 33 years, Al was the enormously successful head coach of men's soccer at William and Mary. He's a past president of the National Soccer Coaches Association of America. And Al helped locally develop the Community Partnership Soccer Program in Williamsburg, which works to increase the diversity of youth soccer players in our area. And since the program's inception, it has provided free soccer experience to hundreds and hundreds of children. In Al's work, in Al's words, we have some amazing success stories of children coming out of this program to play in high school and college. But the overriding accomplishments are getting a huge number of children involved in this beneficial activity. The lessons learned playing team sports are as powerful at the elementary school level as they are later in life. Well, Al, we thank you for exceptional service in this and so many other ways. And it's good that your award will go to the Williamsburg Soccer Foundation. Stuart Spurn, president of the foundation, is with us today. Al and Stu, stand up and let us acclaim you. This year's student recipient is Isabella Bartel. Class, it is always good to bring your own cheering section, Isabella. I am impressed. Isabella is from New York City. She's an English major, psychology minor, completing dual certification in secondary education and English as a second language. Isabella aims to become a New York City public high school principal where she can do enormous good. Isabella's service at William & Mary has focused on Lafayette kids, a William & Mary student-led tutoring and mentoring program for children living in the Lafayette Village neighborhood of our community. She's the lead director of the organization, which works with K-12 students in this subsidized housing community, offering them daily homework help, as well as activities that are just simply fun. She's also organized special projects, such as a One Tribe, One Day fundraiser. She's an orientation aide. She works in the pre-K classroom at Williamsburg Campus Child Care. In Isabella's words, since I joined Lafayette Kids in the first semester of my freshman year, it's always felt like very much my club. It's the involvement that I'm most passionate about, the club my friends most associate me with, and the group I feel I can contribute to the most. Well, Isabella, you have served your community well. It's wonderful your award will go to the Global Orphan Project to get it dedicated to caring for children and families in crisis. Isabella, stand up, if you will. Al and Isabella, well done. Well, by the iron laws of tradition, and we do work tradition here, the president gets the last word at William and Mary ceremonies, whatever they may be. But by the iron law of Reevely, I don't talk long. 3 thoughts. First, focused on our new undergraduates. The second, pertinent to all our students. And the third, I believe, relevant to each of us, young and old, and everybody in between. First thought, I know that leaving home and going to college is a major adjustment. It'll take a while to adjust. By now, I imagine you've conquered the basics. You know where to find food. You know where you sleep. You probably know where your clothes are, or at least where you think your parents put them on move-in day. You're also starting to nail the academic necessities, where your classes are located, where the library is, where your professors' offices are. But a college, a university, has a rhythm and marches to a beat all its own. You have to come to know it. And it's perfectly okay to give yourself time to adjust. It's okay to ask questions. You ought to ask questions. All questions are fair. It's certainly okay to be a little befuddled for a while. And it's perfectly normal, as I told you on Friday afternoon, to be homesick. Maybe really homesick. It'll last for a while, and then it'll go away. So give yourself a chance to adjust. Second, William and Mary offers all our students an enormous profusion of opportunities, a rich feast on which to feed, both academic and extracurricular, ways to learn, ways to lead, ways to grow in all sorts of ways. And I'm not worried that you all, our students, will fail to participate robustly in this feast. But I am concerned that some of you may participate, maybe most of you may participate too robustly in it. That you'll overcommit yourself, get involved in too much, eliminate a lot of sleep, find yourself constantly running from one meeting to the next, studying at all hours of the night, and feeling put upon. So from me to you, from the 27th president of William and Mary to each student, here is permission to pick a couple of extracurricular activities and really plunge into them in depth, rather than getting involved in 10 or so and running like a headless chicken from one to the other. And you know, it's also okay, you got my permission, to take a break every now and then. Walk around the campus. It's a beautiful campus. Walk around Colonial Williamsburg. Take a look at College Woods. You know, there's 700 acres of them that way. Play a game with friends. Read a book for pure pleasure. Just have some fun. It's not only okay to take a break, it's positively good to give yourself a chance to come up for air. All right, my third and final thought that relates to everybody, including me. The prevailing ethos at William and Mary is concern for one another, a genuine concern for one another, and civility in our dealings with one another, and a willingness when we disagree, and we will disagree often, to do it in agreeable ways. Indeed, the free play of ideas, the Jeffersonian ideal, the free play of ideas from all sorts of different perspectives is a cornerstone of what we're all about here at William & Mary. We welcome different views. We welcome sharing our views. We welcome learning from other people. And we welcome having them learn from us. And of course, our conversations and debates will become intense at times because we really care. But at William & Mary, they become intense, coupled with an abiding concern for one another as fellow humans. Each one of us worthy of respect and basic courtesy from our friends, our colleagues, our interlocutors. And I think very, very rarely, if ever, should any of us assume that the precise shape and the precise substance of our views define exactly what any reasonable and good person must think. Because in all reality, none of us is either intellectually or morally omniscient. We're just not. Now, enough for the sermon. We are about to hear the dulcet tones of the Wren bell sounded over and over and over and over. This means opening convocation is about to celebrate the newest members of the William & Mary family. And several years from now, each of you will pull the rope that rings the Wren bell on your last day of classes. Shortly thereafter, the bell will toll as you walk through the Wren building, headed for commencement at William & Mary Hall. The Wren building really is a hard-working bell. It peals for weddings in the Wren Chapel, 50th class reunions, the installation of new William & Mary presidents, the annual sunset ceremony in the Wren courtyard over there, when alumni and alumni who died during the previous year are remembered by name in a deeply moving ceremony. Now, when you emerge from the Wren in a few minutes, having walked through that way, into riotous greetings from other members of the campus community, do keep in mind you now have a place in the long, long, long line of William & Mary people stretching back to 1693. William & Mary is now yours for all time coming. In a moment, the advancement staff will move among you with a gift symbolizing your new status as a member of the tribe. It's a lapel pin with your class numeral on it. And transfers, professional and graduate students, there should be pins with the appropriate year for each of you too, though you may have to be persistent in looking for them. Now we're about to sing the Alma Mater, led by William & Mary's superb choir. Following the Alma Mater, everyone, except our new students and the president, should move briskly, beat feet to the other side of the Wren, so you can greet the new members of our community. As to the Alma Mater, it begins, "Hark the students' voices swelling," and its refrain roars, "Hear the thunder of our chorus." So the Alma Mater doesn't like to be sung quietly, cautiously, timidly, tepidly. It wants to hear you. That's, guys, you too. It's not just for girls, it's also for boys. Now, probably forgotten the words of the Alma Mater. It's been a couple of days since you encountered them last. Go to that program right this minute and find where the words of the Alma Mater are, because you can't belt them out if you don't know what they are. All right, everybody found them? I'm not getting any response. Everybody found it? All right. You said yes, even if you hadn't, I realize. Choir, please stand. Everybody stand and lead us in the Alma Mater.
Hark the students' voices swelling, strong and true and clear. Alma Mater's love they're telling, ringing far and near. William and Mary, loved of old, hark upon the gale. Hear the thunder of our chorus, Alma Mater hail. God our Father, hear our voices, listen to our cry. Bless the college of our fathers, let her never die. William and Mary, loved of old, hark upon the gale. Hear the thunder of our chorus, Alma Mater hail. William and Mary, loved of old, hark upon the gale. Hear the thunder of our chorus, Alma Mater hail.
Good work. Now, I'm not quite through. When Lynn Breiling, Janet Brown Strafer, and Karen Eli were freshmen at William and Mary in fall 1967. When Lynn, Janet, and Karen started here, the tradition of the Wren Walk did not exist. So if you all would be willing to lead the line, the rest of us would be thrilled. All right. Our mace bearers, the presidents of our undergraduate and graduate student bodies, will shortly lead everybody through the hall that way. Now, keep the line moving, everybody. Otherwise, the cows will have come home for the evening before all of you get through. And I want everybody to get a great welcome on the other side. I think he's already escaped. All right. He's going to set the provost free. One last announcement. Due to an unformed and malign constellation of circumstances, we don't have the picnic in the sunken garden today. So for the picnic, you got to go to the Commons Dining Hall, our Sadler Center Court, where it will be in all its splendor. All right, mace bearers. Mr. Provost is going to lead the faculty in its escape. All right, onward.
Beneath thy trees, within thy halls, dear college, we give
All right, ladies,
praise
you're going to come.
to thee, to pledge ourselves whate'er befalls, to pledge unfailing loyalty. Our hearts are with thee, dear William and Mary, however far we stray. Our noble Mary.